archaeology. Get out of there, Dan.
All right, now we're live.
Okay, well, welcome to episode 13 of You Call This Archaeology. This is the show where Richie Cruz and I talk about our weeks in archaeology. And as you can probably tell, my voice is not quite up to snuff.
What?
Yeah.
Now you just sound smoky and dark.
Smoky and dark. That's exactly. And to highlight the smoky and dark theme, we're in a smoky and dark room. Well, it's not smoky, but it would be if Richie had his way.
True. Maybe.
Yeah. No, we're not in the room that we've been in the last couple times because I just didn't have time to set it up, quite frankly. Yeah. I've got a lot going on this evening. I got a bolt right after this is done, so didn't have time to do it. So we're here, and the overhead lights are out. So we've got some lamps that you can't see. Yeah, I can kind of see one in a reflection, but so anyway, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Before we get into the show, though, I didn't want to say thank you because I've noticed that my viewer count and my subscriber count has gone up since I started uploading these podcasts. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been joining us.
Yeah, and that's for Richie's YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook or the audio for this, it's called
Happy Archaeology Fun Time.
There you go. Check that out on YouTube. He's got lots of cool stuff over there.
And the same thing with the Facebook feed.
Yeah, the Facebook feed, and he's got a new Facebook channel of the same name, and check that out.
Thing.
Oh yeah, and the Facebook feed here. Richie's YouTube channel and the Facebook feed are really the only places to see our back episodes right now. I've just been way behind on getting this stuff up as a subscribable podcast. I'm going to stop mentioning it because who knows when the heck I'll be able to do it. So I'm going on vacation in North Carolina in like a week, so actually a week from tomorrow. Our episode 14 will be here, but our episode 15, if the internet's decent enough, I'll be doing it from a beach house in North Carolina.
Oh, wait, what day is that? What day would that be?
The 6th, I think.
Oh, perfect. Like all right, because
of October.
Yeah, because my last day at the bookstore will be the 5th.
Oh, let's talk about that. New job?
Yes.
Nice.
It's been a crazy week for jobs.
Yeah.
Because I was contacted by 2 people, and it's just like the way it always works. Like, you know, you're dry, and then suddenly you're just, like, overwhelmed.
Yep. There it is. Plus, there's a huge push for, especially just to talk about archaeology jobs. Yeah. There's always a weird push right around now, partly because
people are going back to school.
Well, people are going back to school, but so there's other people. I guess there's fewer people available because some people are going back to grad school, things like that. But also because a lot of the federal agencies here on the West Coast, they have new funding on July 1st.
Oh.
And so they put out new requests for quotes in the beginning of July, and they have a short time to use this money. And also, some of the agencies are trying to spend as much money before the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th. So they have to get their contracts awarded. They don't have to actually spend that money, but they have to account for that money or allocate that money before the end of the fiscal year. Now, I'm not saying which agencies, because it's all different depending on who you're working for, blah, blah, blah. But just my own knowledge, I've worked for... we're hearing that you're quiet on your mic here, so we'll turn you up just a little bit.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, which one's mine?
On my side, you're number 4 here.
Oh, perfect. How's that?
Yeah. So, anyway, we'll see how Richie sounds now.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's always a little bit of a flurry of activity right now, but like I said, you just have to be awarded the project before the end of the fiscal year, before the end of the money dries up. You might not do the project for another couple months, or if the weather's bad, you might not do it till March or something like that. But there's a weird flurry of activity around now, and then it all of a sudden dies off again in like October.
And more importantly, that always explains like the weird lags. Like sometimes, sometimes like it'll just be a down economy, and suddenly there'll just be a bunch of jobs.
Yeah, totally.
Ooh, I'm trying to look at myself in the meter.
I know.
Hopefully, everyone tell me if I sound all right, because I'll definitely sound all right in the video.
I'll monitor a little bit here. So, all right. Well, you sound good to me.
Cool.
So,
oh my God! And before we get into other stuff, Chris and I haven't seen each other in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we were out last week because my God, my throat. I swear to God, I haven't done this much talking all week because, and I haven't recorded a podcast in, my God, like a week and a half.
Really?
That's the longest I've gone in probably 4 years without recording a podcast.
Wow.
Because I had the Reno Air Races. I mentioned this probably on previous episodes that it was coming up. But I'm the squadron commander of the Reno Composite Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol here in Reno. And I think, 86 people under my charge.
Yeah.
Half of those are kids, ages 12 to 19. Or 12 to 21 technically, but they're usually about 12 to 18.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had... and Brandon, thanks for joining, Brandon. He says we can hear you now. LOL. And Tristan, who's writing in as Archaeology Podcast Network, says he sounds better. So, all right. Anyway, so the Reno Air Races. I don't want to get too much into that because it's not archaeology related. But we run a food booth there, and I run the booth. So I was running around from Tuesday when we got our first big delivery, all the way through Sunday when we tore down and put everything away. And then my parents were here because they always come down for the air races, so I took them out some touring. No, they left on Wednesday morning. Oh. But Monday and Tuesday I was out with them. Took them out to the Lago Marcino petroglyphs. Neat. Which is a really cool place to go here in Reno. If you have a high clearance 4-wheel drive, it's like 9 miles that takes you an hour and a half to drive. Yeah. But and that's one way. And so yeah, it's been a crazy week just for me of just catching up. I've been. To get into our weeks a little bit, I'll just segue right into this. I've been working on comments on a draft report. Now, just in case people listening don't know what I'm talking about, when you turn in a report, typically to an agency, you might get this from a private client as well. It just depends on how they're set up. But when you turn in a report to an agency, namely, I'm thinking BLM or something Service. Like that, Forest Service, whatever. You typically turn in a draft report, okay? And they have 30 days, often 30 days. Again, contracts depend on how they're written, but often they have 30 days to review that report and then comment on it. Yeah. And sometimes the comments are, hey, you forgot to label this figure, or could you move this, or could you reword this, stuff like that. Yeah. And sometimes the comments are, you totally effed this all up, go do it again. I don't think they're ever that severe most of the time, but... So they have 30 days to do that, and then when they send you the comments, you basically, if it was so bad that they say, send us another draft report, that's bad. But if they just give comments and they say, okay, fix those and send us your final report, that's good, because you're not going to get comments on the final report unless you changed a whole bunch of stuff. But they don't have time to read through the whole thing over again, so they're probably going to look through, make sure their comments were addressed, and then go on. I'm not speaking for every agency archaeologist, but just in general terms here. But anyway, I've been dealing with some comments on a report, and I'll tell you what, this project has been just like one messed up circumstance after another. We had massive weather issues because of the big time, crazy, unanticipated weather we had over the winter. Yeah. I mean, this project was supposed to be done by the end of March. And we couldn't even get the field work done until May because all the roads to access our project area were completely washed out. Yeah. And part of it was on, the Black Rock Desert where Burning Man takes place, which was unprecedentedly underwater for a very long period of time. I mean, often water will accumulate there because of the playa, but then it drains right off or evaporates off or whatever. Yeah. But it was a lake. I mean, people were kayaking on it, like in April.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, so... It's
which sounds cool, except for the fact that that soil is very not good.
No. It was brown and disgusting when it was a lake. It was not a clear, pristine, wonderland. But so anyway, we had to get an extension on this, and then we turned in the draft report, and or we tried to turn in the draft report, and then we're waiting on comments, and the person we turned it into went on vacation right after we turned it in. And then that butted up against our extended deadline, so we had to get a second extension, which is, unheard of. I've never gotten a second extension before, and it's just been a perfect storm of craziness. So I finished finally all but one of the comments, which I just I emailed the person about, and they're going to get back to me on how to actually address that, because I don't actually understand their comments.
Wait, so many comments.
Yeah, so we've got a comment here that says, from Ryan, says, we have comments that are 240 days overdue on a draft by the client. That's nice, Ryan. Hopefully there's not too many of them. But, in a big report, like, I know some of the stuff Ryan might be working on and who he's working for. And, we turned in a report that was, thousands of pages. The comments on that could be enormous, And typically in a case like that, like, this is a really small report, the one I did, really small project, not a lot to it. The fact that we had 30 days, the fact that BLM had 30 days to address the draft, and then we had a certain amount of days to address those comments and turn in the final.
Yeah.
That's based on the size of the project. A project like some of the stuff that Ryan's company is working on is, it could be months that you have. It could be 6 months. It could be a long time. There's no way an agency person can go through that whole thing with any sort of quality in 30 days. It'd be the only thing they're doing.
Especially in this state, because
Right.
one of my buddies who works for the Elko BLM is like, man, this is like one of the, like, he went from a California district to a Nevada district, and he's like, this is the craziest I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, and he's like, this is probably like the hardest district or the hardest state to be in an agency office, just because of all the mining.
Yeah, and they're just like inundated with projects too, because most of the land is BLM in the state. So these guys, I feel sorry, and I just am so in awe of most of the agency archaeologists here.
Yeah.
They have so much work to do.
Yeah.
And they're held at such a high standard, and they have to do it all. Hello to Mark Silver, the first non-archaeologist member that I've seen join the group that I've been aware of. He's in my squadron at the Civil Air Patrol.
Oh, neat.
So
wait, why is it called Composite? What does
Composite?
that mean? Yeah, Composite.
We're a Composite Squadron because it's the Reno Composite Squadron was what Richie's referring to. There's 3 types of squadrons. There's cadet squadrons that are just cadets. They have a few adults that manage them, but they're basically a cadet squadron. Those are typically at high schools and things like that. It's like an ROTC program, but they're a squadron.
Yeah.
There's senior squadrons, which are anyone 18 and older. They have no cadets, no cadet program whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then there's composite squadrons that have both cadet and seniors. So we have, last I checked, we currently have, I think it was about 46 senior members and I think 41 cadets. So
I thought it was like an homage to like Burt Rutan's company.
no, it's not. So anyway, I know one of the things I wanted to talk about, because you and I were talking about it right before we started here, is the Apple keynote was last week.
Oh, so so we're going to talk about the iPhone 9?
The first rule of the iPhone 9 is you don't talk about the iPhone 9 because it doesn't exist. I'll just put out as a public service announcement. I have the iPhone 7 Plus right now. I have the Apple Watch Series 2, and I have the iPad Pro 12.1 inch. That was just and Mark confirms 86 total members on our squadron. So. And I've installed, because the other thing that came out this week, just a couple days ago, was iOS 11. So I'll tell you right now, if you're in the field, if you're working on a project, do not upgrade your operating system until that project is over.
Oh.
Do not do it, because you don't know what the hell's going to happen. Oh. You don't want to upgrade your operating system and then lose everything, and then now come on. Come on, Tristan. He says, "Oh, geez, here comes the Apple talk." But I'm telling you, even if you're on Samsung, or if you're on whatever kind of tablet you're using in the field, if you're using it as a primary recording device, do not upgrade your operating system in the middle of the project unless you have a separate tablet or something like that you can upgrade on and make sure all your apps are going to work properly with it. Okay.
I was impressed by the file managing aspect of, like, because I've watched some people like try iOS 11 with some of their apps.
Yeah.
I was impressed by the fact that you could have like the app open and your file manager open.
Yeah. Well, and you can do that. There's lots of neat things you can do, and that reminds me. Yeah. One of the biggest reasons you don't want to upgrade to iOS 11 is because iOS 11 is it's been coded on a different platform. Oh. So I don't really know how to describe that, but as Tristan's saying, back everything up, of course. But I might get this wrong, but the sense is right. So basically, iOS 11 is built on a 64-bit platform, and it's no longer, which it's been for a while, right? Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure 10 was on a 64-bit platform as well. Yeah. The difference with iOS 11 is it's no longer supporting 32-bit apps.
Oh.
So if the developer has not upgraded to 64-bit applications and how that's coded to run with the processors, it simply won't work. You'll tap on the app and you'll get a warning that says this app will not function properly or at all because the developer has not updated to the current version.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say that I was looking at the compatibility list for iOS 11 and it is a lie.
Well,
it says iPad 1 compatible with iOS 11. I'm like,
it's always lie a little bit.
See?
Yeah.
It's like
there's no way it says iPad 1. It actually says that on there?
Yes.
There's no way.
Yeah, it says that's on the compatibility chart.
I'm pretty sure my iPad 1 has like iOS 5 on it.
Same here. And I'm like, I tried it. I'm like, I was looking for it. I was trying to upgrade it somehow. And it's a lie. Thank you, Apple.
Yeah. Well, you don't have any worries about putting new apps on there because I don't even think you can log on to the App Store anymore with the iPad 1, can you?
You can, actually.
Yeah, well, they upgraded the App Store on iOS 11 too, so
Ooh.
a lot of that stuff you're going to start losing functionality.
I'm glad I did that last week.
Yeah.
I also thought it was funny that the iPhone 10 is their screen. I know we just talked about this right before the podcast, but their screen, which they said was the greatest screen ever, is made by Samsung.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The processor is made by Intel, and all these other things. So, as far as archaeology related stuff goes, I will say the new Apple Watch. I'll give a review on that in about a month because I ordered mine, and it's not supposed to be here till about mid-October.
Oh.
Early to mid-October.
Are you getting the 10 or the 8?
No, the watch.
No, but I meant, are you getting...
Well, we'll talk about the phone in a minute. But first, the watch real quick.
Yeah?
So the biggest difference between like the Series 1 Apple Watch, which you can still buy some places, and the Series 2 Apple Watch, which is what I have now, which came out last year, the biggest difference is onboard GPS on the Series 2, which is great for archaeologists because if you need just, typical Garmin level coordinates, your watch can do that without a phone.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where your phone is. Your phone could die. You'll still get coordinates on your watch.
Yeah.
But it's also waterproof, which is great for archaeologists. And not just water resistant like the old Apple Watch, like the Series 1 was. You could probably take a shower with the Series 1 and you're okay. Yeah. But you can't go swimming with it. With the Series 2, you can go swimming with it.
Yeah.
Again, not that big a deal for field work, but if you're working in the East Coast, there's a lot of humidity problems. Probably a big deal.
And for people wondering about use cases for that, every once in a while you're on a crew and there just aren't enough garments to go around. And so I've seen field techs using like their phones with a GPS app.
Yeah. I've used my watch last year for just basic coordinate navigation.
Yeah.
You can use I have an app, MotionX GPS, shows me the UTMs on my watch. And those UTMs are good enough for, like in Nevada here, the BLM requires coordinates for every photograph.
Yeah.
Now, I use the coordinates of like a diagnostic artifact. I use its coordinates for the photograph because I'm taking a detailed shot.
Yeah.
But if it's just a site overview or a feature overview or something like that, they don't have to be sub-meter. I mean, they just have to be 3 to 5 meter, which your watch will do. So I can just quickly look up at my watch, okay, there's the coordinates, type those into my tablet, and be done with it.
See, but it'd be nice, though, if your tablet could integrate the GPS coordinates while you're taking the photo.
Well, that's a function of the app that you're using.
I know.
Yeah, the one I was using did not do that, but yeah, I hear you. So that to round out the Apple Watch discussion, the Series 3, the thing it adds, of course, like every upgrade, it adds a faster processor.
Yeah.
The battery life is supposed to be better, although initial reports are saying that it's not. But I heard somebody say just this morning on a video that these initial reports of battery life, you can never listen to them until about a month out because people, it's like a new toy. They overplay with it the first couple of weeks and they run their battery down. But when you get into a normal use case, your battery winds down and you're starting to use it like normal. But anyway, the biggest thing the Series 3 adds is a more accurate GPS, a slightly accurate GPS, but it's more accurate because it's also got LTE capability. So you basically, now depending on your service provider, this is going to change, but basically the watch will work without a phone. But you still don't go out and buy an Apple Watch if you don't have an iPhone. Because if you don't have the iPhone, or I think a tablet, you can attach it to a tablet if you want. But if you don't have one of those, you still can't use it by itself because you need the phone to set the watch up, and it uses your phone's phone number as its phone number.
Yeah.
So I'm on AT&T, so I can only speak to that. Right now, you'll have to add the watch to your data plan for $10 a month. That's a typical device add-on for $10 a month.
Which isn't bad.
AT&T might change that because a lot of people are complaining. They're like, it's not an iPad for Christ's sake. But what a lot of people don't understand too is your watch, no matter whose watch you're using, is pulling data from your phone. Yeah. So by making it independent of the phone, once you set it up with the phone, it's now pulling data from the internet on its own. You're going to be doing a lot more stuff with just the watch, without the phone. So that's why that cost is there. And also, AT&T has limited talk time on LTE to 1 hour.
Really?
Per month.
Yeah, but who talks on the phone anymore?
Exactly. Who talks on the phone? My thinking is I've only talked on my watch a handful of times, and that's just because I couldn't get to my phone in time, like it was in another room of the house or something. And I'll typically answer on my watch, and the minute you unlock your phone, it switches to the phone automatically.
Oh, cool.
So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, the phone's going to be nearby if you're doing that anyway, or if I'm out on like a run or a bike ride or something like that, I can now leave my phone at home.
Yeah.
And if I need to make an emergency call or something like that, I can just use my watch to do it.
Interesting.
So,
although I did see one complaint, and I thought it was a relevant one, is that Apple should have incorporated always-on technology, just like you have on your Android phones.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to like do any gestures. You can just leave it on the table, you know, like in the morning, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, that way you don't. That way it can just be a watch.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how important that is to people.
I don't know. We'll see how it works. So, let's. It's about 25 minutes into the show. Let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
I'm just going to mention a couple things. I've been promoting on the Arc 365 podcast. If you're interested, you know, Tristan is going to, I don't know if he's been listening to them, but he's going to kill me right now if he's still on. But I have been dying on this Arc 365 podcast. If you're a fan of Arc 365 and you're listening to it right now, I'm 5 days behind. Part of that is because of the Air Races. I stacked up a bunch of episodes and I planned on doing a bunch more on Monday morning and catching up for this week. But I got sick over the weekend during the Air Races, and I developed this throat thing, and by Monday morning, I mean, there's no way I can record. I'm only doing this now because it's live and what the hell. But I'm not going to put out an episode of a show that people listen to the back catalog on with my voice sounding like this.
What?
I know. It's terrible. So, but anyway, I've been promoting, and I've got 2 people so far, and
Really?
I want 4 total. I've been promoting keeping this running through 2018, just committing to 1 more year, but I'm not doing it. I'll record everything and I'll edit everything because that's the easy part for me. The hard part is doing all the research and the writing.
Yeah.
Is writing up each article. They're short, but it's still a lot of work. And if I can get a staff of like 4 volunteers to just crank out 365 new podcasts and start doing it at the beginning of November, I want to have, if we don't have the first quarter of 2018 written out by the beginning of December, then we're not going to do 2018. Because I want to be 3 months ahead before the year even starts.
And for people who are intimidated by it, think of it as like as audio Wikipedia for archaeology.
Right. It wasn't your fault, Mark. Yeah, I was there and I got sick anyway. Somebody gave it to me. Mark said it was his fault because Mark wasn't feeling well, so he wasn't at the Air Races for a few of those days. It was totally my fault. So anyway, that's the little PSA on that one. And I'll just say, as I normally do, if you want to become a member and support the network, artpodnet.com/members.
Yeah.
We've got like a little over a dozen paid subscribers now, paid members, and it's really great. And we've got some learning content coming out very shortly. I keep saying that, but it really is very shortly this time.
Because it's already in the, it's like already in the hopper. It's already, you know.
I've already got it recorded.
Yeah.
I just got to put it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got actually 3 things I need to put out there. So, and I'm probably going to dump it all at once because I've been waiting for this. So. We did ship out swag. Everybody got it. Even the guy in Germany and Tristan in Scotland got their new T-shirt and coffee mug and all their stickers. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. All right, back to the show. What do you got?
Oh my God. Well, since I haven't seen you in a few weeks, I was thinking about the things I'm going to miss when Reno becomes fully yuppified or millennialized or Googleized. Because you know, you've been on this street, right? I mean, the collective, you know, is on this very busy street in Reno.
Yeah.
And last week, someone crashed into like a pole or a tree outside my apartment. Nice. And I learned many things from that happening. I learned, well, obviously the thing which everyone in Reno knows is that happens all the time.
Yeah.
And more importantly, unless the vehicle is blocking traffic, there's no obligation for the city to remove it, which is why if you drive around Reno, like some of the nicest parks and nicest neighborhoods, there are just random crashed cars at the side of the road. I mean, obviously downtown where you live, it doesn't, they're gonna tow it away because it's like in paid parking, but like around here, there's no obligation to tow it away. So there was like a car that was like blocking like there's like I live across the street from the senior housing, and it was blocking like their bus loading zone. So like the seniors couldn't get on. They had to like park down the street and then, you know, make the seniors go all the way down the street.
I did see a smashed car in front of your apartment the other day.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so, oh my God, because, you know, like I run around Reno, I run around this neighborhood, and it's like I suddenly just started noticing all the crashed cars that I've been running by for months.
Nice.
And there's no obligation to tow them away.
Yeah.
It's also the reason I don't park on the street.
Yeah. So, one thing I want to mention, just because I heard this a few weeks ago, I think like a month ago or something like that, and I don't think we talked about it. It sounds like Indiana Jones 5 is mostly written.
Oh my
They
god,
might
I was
start
thinking
shooting
about
on
this.
it shortly.
I was thinking about this.
And it's not going to be, what the hell is his name at the end of 4? Who picked up the hat? What the hell's the guy's name?
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. It sounds
No.
like he's not in it at all.
Well, no, I was thinking about it because I was reading an article and they're completely right. Indiana Jones should be like James Bond, where you just have a different actor every generation. Because Harrison Ford is like 1,000,000 years old.
Now, how many of the original James Bond movies, Mark Silver might know this, how many of the original James Bond movies did they do with the first James Bond? Who was that? Was that Sean Connery? Yeah.
Well, it depends on what you consider the first James Bond.
Oh.
Because it actually there oh my god there was one where oh my god, Casino Royale. There was a first Casino Royale, and the only thing I remember about that is that Woody Allen was in it as the villain. He was James Bond's nephew, Jimmy Bond.
Oh my. Nice.
And oh my god, it's like I can see his face, but it was a very distinguished English actor. Was like James Bond. He was brought out of retirement, and it was just like it's actually a surprisingly good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my point is, I mean, the first 4 movies have been done with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Is he too ingrained in our psyche to accept another James Bond?
No.
You know, in the same genre. But then again, you know, with the other James Bond movies, like,
yeah, see?
Well, the thing is, they just kind of ignore the fact that there's a history there sometimes, and they just start a new movie. It's the same characters. It might be a different decade. Yeah. Might be a different time period. It's all the different things, and it's just the same character names basically, and the same basic story. But with the Indiana Jones movies, even though they're all separate and relatively independent. Wow, I guess I'm destroying my own argument right there. It seems like you can't just lift him out and put somebody else in.
See? If you can have a young Han Solo.
Mark says 7 actors have played James Bond.
See?
Yeah.
And if you actually read the books, one of the things is that James Bond is like Jason Bourne in that there is no James Bond. It was just a generic title they gave to an agent.
Ah.
And that's the way they justified it in the movies until they ruined it with the most recent ones by making James Bond an actual person, with an actual family.
Right.
Which was dumb.
I haven't even seen those.
Wait, the one with, what's his name? The short dude?
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them.
They're actually not bad.
Yeah.
I like them.
Nice.
But, oh my god. I imagine, like, I can't even think about who would be a good Indiana Jones these days.
I mean, would you go with somebody young, or would you go with somebody who's just like, you know... And do you go with like an action star, or do you go with somebody who's a little more, I don't know, professory?
No, you go with the dude who plays Castle on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
dude.
Who that is.
Oh, you've never seen Castle?
I've never watched Castle.
Oh, well, the dude who was in Firefly and Serenity is the captain.
Oh, okay, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's
He'd be
like
a fun James Bond.
No.
I mean, Indiana Jones.
Oh my god, now you're avoiding the issue about whether you go with the 8, or as I like to call it, the 7S, or the 10.
Oh, right. So back to Apple. I'm going for the 10.
What?
Yeah, well, I've got, part of what I do is I like to review stuff for use in archaeology, and the 8 is a glorified 7 Plus.
Ooh.
The 8 doesn't change anything. The 8 is a typical upgrade, and we're back to iPhone in case anybody didn't know, but the 8 is a typical upgrade that just increases the processor, blah, 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 right? Yeah. The 10 is a completely different phone.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I would go with the 8. If you don't care about any of this, then just go with the 8.
Or alternatively, if you're like 2 or 3 generations behind an iPhone.
Yeah, well, if you're 2 or 3 generations behind, I would say go for the 10, because the 10's going to last you longer. You know, I mean, there's just a fact there. They've designed iOS 11 to work with the 10, not the 8. You know, it obviously works with the 8, but if you bought an 8, and you're a 3 or 4 year, user of a single device, you should always buy the newest one that they have.
True.
If you're going to use it for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Now, I destroy my own advice because I upgrade every year, so I should get whatever's available, right?
Yeah.
But I upgrade to the newest one every year so I can evaluate that for use in the field, for use in doing other things, and that's the reason I do it, and that's how I call it a business expense. But also, I'm on the AT&T plan where I can't upgrade every year. I'm just paying monthly for my phone. If I wanted to pay out my 7 Plus and own it outright, I'd have to pay on it for like another 6 months, I think. I think it's an 18-month plan.
Oh, yeah, same with mine.
Yeah, so, but I don't do that. After 12 months, I'm eligible to upgrade.
Yeah.
And I can just basically swap out for the 10 and just keep paying the same amount.
I think it's interesting, though, the difference between Android and iPhone, because, you know, I've seen, like, this is a phone I really wanted when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And lately, I saw it on a list of the 10 best Android phones ever, and then someone wrote a, filmed a nostalgia video about how they really love this phone. And it's like, man, I want to upgrade, but at the same time, I mean, I definitely need to upgrade because I need more memory. But at the same time, it doesn't do anything wrong. Like some people who have Samsungs are like, it was fine for the first 6 months and now it's super laggy and buggy. And this phone has never had that. Like, it works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And that's as someone who has used both iOS products and Android products.
Right.
Which not everyone can say.
I know. And I don't have any experience with Samsung phones at all. So, you know.
It makes me leery, though, like Samsung phones, because everyone, God, at least half the people I see are like, ick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially for the price. Although, man, I have to admit, the iPhone 10 looks just like the Galaxy 8.
Yeah, it does. Well, everybody's going to that sort of form factor, so.
Yay.
And then they're calling the little notch on the 10 Notchgate, because it was a stupid design issue that Apple made.
See?
So.
Although that face thing's kind of cool.
Oh, face detection.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it because it's just easier a lot of times, especially like in the field.
Yeah.
When I got to punch in a code or my fingerprint won't work because I've got gloves on.
Yeah.
If I could just lift it up, unlock, use it, and do what I need to do, then I'm all for that.
Although, you know what's super interesting is the fact that I've been watching a lot of people use the personal voice assistant comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
And man, Alexa, even though it comes on the crappiest device, is like, a lot of people point out, it's just like magic.
Yeah.
And then Apple's falling slightly behind in that.
Right.
Like, there was one test where they're like, you know, Alexa, order me a pizza. And Alexa ordered them a pizza. They went straight to the Pizza Hut website, and they're like, well, what size do you want? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And then Siri just took you to a site. Like,
right.
this is what pizza sites I can find.
Right. Yeah. I'd like to see that done now because I think it's still behind. Siri is.
Yeah.
But Siri's supposed to have more detailed app functionality now. So
Ooh.
with iOS 11. I haven't tried it. I don't know what it does, but I'm sure it's behind Alexa because with the Siri they're focusing more on services related to like native apps on your devices.
Yeah.
They're really focusing on that and making that more functional. Whereas Amazon, because they're a retail company, is focusing more on retail issues. So it makes sense that they're evolving separately to do these different tasks.
Yeah.
You know, they're not the same company and they have different goals.
True.
You know,
I mean, it's like magic when you say, Alexa, order me an Uber and you know, to my house.
Nice.
And then it just does it.
Yeah. Siri will get you an Uber now.
Really?
Yeah.
Prove it.
So
no.
I don't need one today. But they say it will. So all right, so
wait. Oh.
What else have we got going on the last 2 weeks?
Oh my god. I was talking
in archaeology.
Well, it's a tangentially archaeologically related because, you know, so many people during the winter claim that they don't have, you know, they don't, like, you know, they're just on unemployment or they're just living off their savings.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I was talking to someone last night and, like, they were saying how when they were out of the job, they started just, like, going to thrift stores and buying books and then selling them on eBay. And it's just like, how much gumption do some field techs have where they're literally just, like, living, like, sitting on the beer drinking, you know, sitting on the couch drinking beer.
Right.
You know, and he's like, dude, and I'm super lazy. Like, I did that for, like, 1 or 2 hours a day and get, like, $300 or $400 in return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and probably while we're in the summertime, if you want to do that and you have the storage space for it, one of the best places to get books to sell on eBay, because a lot of people do this, is like garage sales and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get them for probably 10 cents a piece or a quarter a piece.
But, I mean, I was thinking about that because how many little towns do we visit that have these, you know, like, little thrift stores?
Yeah.
That, like, have, like, you know, like, all sorts of cool stuff, and they're, like, undervaluing them and stuff.
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, I remember I was on a project, I'm not going to say what state, because, you know, they, the project was delayed. The start of the project was delayed, but they didn't want to send us home because they had a fully assembled crew, and they didn't want to lose people because it's the beginning of the field season, and if they started sending people away, they would have found another project. So what they did was they sent us to do reconnaissance, which meant that we got to go to various small towns and just, like, go antique shopping and eat at buffets and restaurants, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which was super cool. It's like, man, you could have just been buying all sorts of stuff and then selling it during the winter.
Yeah.
I mean, just a little tip.
Yeah.
sort of little tip.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good thing to do. And in fact, this Sunday, as we're recording this, that'll be the 24th of September. We're recording an episode of the Siri podcast that'll be out, I think, early October.
Yeah.
And it's called Winter is Coming. It's our... Again. We typically do this... we haven't done one this year. We typically do a preparing for the winter show, but I want to focus more on financial preparation and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, and now, honestly, if you're listening to this show and you're learning anything from the Winter is Coming episode of the Siri podcast, then it's way too late for you.
True.
I mean, you can still do some things to plan for it, but if you're not planning for your winter as a CRM archaeologist right now, like you don't have a plan for that, if you're just hoping to find work throughout the winter, I mean, you're going to have a tough go of it, quite frankly. So, especially with the winter the West is about to have.
Well, I mean, this is the earliest sign, this is the earliest snow we've had in, like, years.
Yeah, we all woke up to snow on the western hills in Reno here today.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 80 next week, so.
Of course.
Yeah, it's not going to stick around for a while, but, you know, all the ski areas are talking about opening in October now. They're getting their, their act together, but. And the point of all that is, it's going to change how the winter goes, but even if it were a normal winter, you still have to plan for that time.
Yeah.
You know, you have to plan to be out of work for 3-4 months
or longer.
You know, or longer, and you need a minimum amount of time to plan to be off. And if you're not off, and if you manage to find work and keep working, well, now you just have money in the bank to start the next year with.
Yeah, or Uber, or Lyft.
Yeah, well, something. You know, so that's part of the plan, though.
Yeah.
You know, is can I do that? Because with those services, if you're going to be a driver for one of those over the winter, first off, how many archaeologists do you know have a car that can qualify for those services?
None.
Very, very few.
I mean, how many PI? Like, I know a PI here in town. We both know him, who's driving the same car he's had since college.
Yeah. So.
You know, and he's not using his Frisbee van.
I know. So it's a good thing to do, and it might if you can be in an area where Uber or Lyft is used quite a bit.
Yeah.
Then it might even justify you buying a new car or a used new car that would pass their inspections.
Yeah.
You know, because it can't be that old and it has to be in great shape.
I believe the minimum is like 5 to 10 years. I mean, come on, a 10-year-old car.
And they'll make exceptions for classic or exotic vehicles that are in good shape.
See?
Yeah, but they still have to meet minimum safety requirements.
Yeah.
So.
And if you've ever wanted to buy a car, like I was originally thinking about it because I wanted a Ford Focus RS.
Yeah. Nice.
You know, but then it's like my neighbors would kill me if I had 3 vehicles.
I know. So. Anyway, so keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a good episode, and we'll hopefully take some. I'd love to get some questions online. I should put out a thing on some of the groups there to get some questions about it.
By the way, not to turn this into Archeo Field Text, but I was thinking just now that if you ever wanted to upgrade a computer, now is the time to do it. This is like the best time in like probably 10 years, considering all the new processors and whatnot out.
Yeah.
Like, people are pointing out that the newest, I mean, I'm not sure how many people are into PCs or gamings, or if they're more in the Macs, but...
Probably PCs.
But, you know, the newest generation of NVIDIA graphics cards, people are saying it's like literally a quantum leap, like, you know... Like, the two previous generations were just gradual upgrades. This is literally like a quantum leap.
Right.
And the only reason I'm thinking about this is because my computer at home, I assembled it 2 years ago, and it's really good. But the new AMD processors, they, for their first processors that include, what they call it, like multi-thread or multi-core processing, which basically means that I can do more than one thing. Like, I can have my computer rendering a video, which normally takes 100% of the CPU. And now I can do 2 things. I can re-rendering our video and doing graphic design, which has not been possible until this generation of computer.
Nice.
And the crazy thing about the new AMD processors is that they brought them down in price. So you can I can build a $500 PC right now.
Yeah.
That will render 4K video as long as you have the memory space.
Nice. Nice.
And let me do graphic design, because right now people might not realize it. My video time, this video will be a 72-hour minimum turnaround time, just because of how much it locks up my computer.
Wow.
And I can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like uploading. Uploading is like a minimum of 24 hours, sometimes almost 30.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
And my computer, I can't do anything. That's the reason I have 2 computers in my living room. That way I can, still be like checking email and surfing the internet.
Are you uploading on Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a router right there in your living room, probably.
I was
you
thinking
probably
about
just
that.
plug into it.
Yeah, but then I'd only be able to use that. Then I wouldn't have any YouTube while I was waiting.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Jill McCormick has joined. Welcome, Jill.
Hopefully I didn't bore you with that computer talk.
Nice. So yeah, for this, we've got a varying number of watchers. I'm not really sure how accurate this is or what have you, but feel free to leave comments on this. And if you're watching this video on the Facebook channel after the fact, you can still comment real time, and we'll see where the comment was, and we'll get notifications on the comment and can comment back. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join in. Because I shared the link to this out to a number of groups that, are probably not professional archaeologists and things like that, and they may have some questions. I don't know which groups. I just clicked on a bunch of them. So, but anyway, check those out. So, also, if you see this petition going around Facebook, I signed it the other day because Tom King, I saw it on his page and he'd signed it. But there's a petition from some of the guys at Tigar, which is the group that's looking for Amelia Earhart and other historical aircraft wrecks.
Yeah.
They've got a petition that they're trying to get to have History Channel issue basically a formal apology for that Amelia Earhart documentary they put out a couple months ago.
Dude, this is going to get them more publicity and get more ratings.
I know. So, but it's worth at least acknowledging and showing people that there is something to apologize for, because the documentary was complete BS.
Yeah.
And these guys that are with Tigar are doing the real research. They're actually going out there, they're excavating, they're finding things. They're not coming back making wild claims. They're doing research and they're figuring out, okay, what do we have and what does it mean? Just like real archaeology, because it is real archaeology.
Actually, that makes me think of something. It makes me think of the fact that there's still a disconnect between what people want archaeology to be and what it is. I know we keep talking about it, but it's just like, I mean, you look at like the archaeology subreddit.
Yeah.
And like the sort of articles they post, or the some of these Facebook groups
right.
we're members of, and then versus what and then you look at the more professional groups and people are like, that's boring.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. What do you think we're doing wrong, or do you think it's just people just still want cool stuff?
I think people just still want cool stuff. Unfortunately, they look at artifacts and they see archaeology as treasure hunting.
Exactly.
And archaeology is not treasure hunting. Obviously, it's storytelling. And I've been talking about this a lot. I use this as an example, and I don't think I've done it on this show yet, so I'll say it now. But one of the things we get asked as archaeologists all the time, as is what's the coolest thing you found?
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll hear, which I prefer, is where's the coolest place you've been or something like that.
I've never gotten that.
Yeah, I've had that occasionally when you start talking about travel and stuff,
Yeah.
But usually you're right. The first thing they say is what's the coolest thing you found? And I often will have a confusing answer for that, and I'll be like, well, it depends on where I'm at.
Yeah.
Depends on what kind of project it is. On this one project, the coolest thing we found was a glass bottle. On this other project, the coolest thing we found was a mining complex. And, we found a broken Clovis point in a 2-track one time. And that was pretty neat. But really, they should be asking, and we should be telling people that they should be asking, what's the most interesting story, you've been part of developing or something like that. Yeah. It's a very hard question to ask, but the analogy that I use for this is books. If you see somebody reading a book, or somebody just puts a book down that they finish reading, you wouldn't ask them what was the best verb in that book.
No.
What was the best noun in that book.
No.
You say, what was the story about?
Yeah.
What did you like about that book? What did you learn from that book? What did you something? Because the individual components that make up the book are nonsense without the whole context of everything together. And that's the same thing with any archaeological site. There might be a key artifact or a key series of artifacts that really help you define what that site is about. Yeah. But really, those artifacts are each a part of the bigger story.
Yeah.
And the artifacts themselves are not that important when you come down to it.
Are we just bad storytellers?
I think we're bad public outreach specialists. Whatever you want to call that. We're just bad at public outreach. I'm busting my ass trying to finish up the comments on this report today.
Yeah.
And turn that in. And I turned in another report early this morning to the Forest Service for a different project that I was working on yesterday. And you know, I'm working my ass off trying to finish these reports, and the agency archaeologist is going to see it. The client's going to see it. Neither of them are going to read it completely, and it's going to get shoved into a file cabinet that literally no one will ever see again.
Yeah.
And you know, somebody might pull that report doing a lit search, but it's another privileged archaeologist that's going to see that. And by privileged, I just mean they have access.
Yeah.
And they're going to see that, and no one else is ever going to see it. So, you know, I mean, for one of these projects, it's a famous National Register site, so somebody might pick that up and synthesize that into a book, you know, with all the other stuff, and then the public will see it. But most of these sites, like the one you and I worked on, on the eastern part of the state, nobody cares about that report. What? Nobody cares about those sites.
What?
You know, I mean, unless you find a Native American burial ground there.
Yeah.
And even then, it's probably going to be brushed under the table, quite frankly. But,
of course.
you know, it's yeah, it's tough.
That inspires one comment I have.
Yeah.
Is it unethical to use the agency archaeologist as your editor?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
You should always submit a final report, even though it says draft on it. Always pick through it with a fine-tooth comb. You know, one of the comments I had in the last one was the first thing she said was, "You should run spell check on this document." It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I ran spell check through Apple Pages and through Microsoft Word, and the only things that came up as incorrectly spelled were the weird names in the bibliography and the Latin names of the plant species I had in there. It's like, what the hell are you even talking about? You know? Yeah. So, anyway.
So in other words, grad students should totally take a technical writing course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yes and no. I feel like a lot of people push technical writing courses and technical writing skills, where I'm not going to say you definitely need to have those.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you get to work for a company, they're going to have templates for their reports.
That's true.
You just need to know how to write in the right tense, and I don't think you need a whole freaking college class to learn how to do that. You can learn a few skills, pay attention, ask to see, if you're in a report writing situation, ask to see examples of their other reports that have passed agency review, you know, final reports, and actually read those. And don't read them just for content. Read them for the technical workflow that they have in there. You know, what do these look like? You'll notice that BLM reports in Nevada, you don't have to come up with an outline for those because they publish the outline. It's in the BLM guidelines. It says your report will look like this. Yeah. And you basically have to just fill in the blanks.
Oh my God. Like my buddy who works in the Elko BLM is always like super angry at the fact all these companies who don't follow that outline. He's like, dude, how hard is it to do this?
Published right there.
Yeah.
He's that outline came out right before I started my company, and it was when we were still working for the last company that I worked for. And when I started my own company, I created my own report template, and I just took as the heading, you know, the headers, the BLM template, and I put in my header and footer and all that stuff. And
it's not like they make that a secret. Like, where are they having that?
Yeah, it's published completely.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I assume you just gotta like type it in BLM, report outline.
Yeah, totally.
Or something.
Yeah.
Might be wrong.
I mean, it's the BLM guidelines, 2012. They're on the website somewhere.
Yeah. For
you to download, and they'll just send them to you if you don't have them. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, before I forget, and I know our time is short, but I was looking at USA Jobs the other day. It's crazy how much better that site has gotten.
Really? That's shockingly surprising.
It's actually like Glassdoor or LinkedIn almost good.
Nice.
It's crazy. Like, I was able to type in stuff and find stuff, and it didn't look like it was made in 1995.
The thing that irritates me is, does it still say, upload your CV here, and then on the next page, type in all the stuff from your CV here?
I didn't try that yet, although, oh my God, that's so dumb.
That's so irritating. Why the hell did I upload this if you're just going to have me type it all in?
See?
Yeah, is anybody going to read the one I uploaded because it's all typed in right here?
Oh my God! And the one thing we were talking about before we rolled, was the fact that I know you were one of the first people I know who used LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And you're an advocate of putting up your CV or resume on there.
Yeah.
And then recently LinkedIn said, hey, you want to publish this so people know you're looking for a job, and I did it. And then within 3 or 4 days, I got a reply.
Nice.
Yeah, I got offered a job, but it was kind of like a silly job.
Yeah, because if their algorithm is working at all correctly, and you have a lot of connections on LinkedIn, it should be pushing out that fact to anybody who's in a position or listed as at a company that could possibly use your services.
Yeah, and yet people are always asking, how do I get a job? How do I do this? How do I do that? Well, try your LinkedIn profile.
That's one of the ways.
Yeah.
And for LinkedIn too, I just looked at it this morning because I accepted a few more invites, and I've got probably close to 1,300 connections on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Because one of the things people don't really realize, if you want to build your network on LinkedIn so you can get your information out there to more people,
yeah,
the two basic ways to add someone to your network, other than somebody adding you and then you accepting it, is you have to find them and then try to connect with them, and then it'll ask you, how do you know this person? You have to put in their email address. You have to do something.
You do?
Well, it'll usually say that, and you have to put in something proving that you're connected to this person. You can't do a random connection.
Ooh.
So, but you can, because you can just put other, and then just type in something, say, hey, we met at the thing, I don't know your email address, but this is me, and then they'll connect with you. But the other way is, once you connect with someone, whether they initiated the connection or you initiated the connection, on that same screen, whether you're on your phone or on your computer, there's all these other people that are related, and you just hit connect, and it sends them an invite.
Yeah.
It sends them a request. Now, be careful and don't spam people, because the ones without photographs typically, or the ones without like a LinkedIn profile link or whatever it says, they're just pulling from your comments on your phone, or for your contacts on your phone, and they will get an email that says, hey, Chris wants to connect with you on LinkedIn. Go and sign up for LinkedIn here. And people just get pissed and delete those emails. So, so don't LinkedIn spam people. But I would say I usually go through there and I just look at the profiles real fast. If it says anything related to archaeology or history or anthropology or cultural resources, I hit connect. And because LinkedIn is not Facebook.
No.
Facebook is where you curate your friends list and you only accept the people that are maybe actually friends. How about that?
Yeah.
People complain about their Facebook feed being total bullshit. You accepted every single one of those bullshit posts.
Exactly.
Yeah. You accepted those people as friends and you said, yeah, come on, post on my wall.
And you can unfollow them.
And you can unfollow them. You don't have to unfriend them, you can unfollow them so you don't see their stuff. But LinkedIn is for professional reasons. So I see it as, if I go to a conference, there's 4,000 other people there that I don't know, but I'm now networking with them. That's how I see LinkedIn. So if they're even remotely related to my field, connect.
Yeah, and if you're like your typical undergrad student who has like big anxiety problems, especially, because archaeologists aren't exactly the most social people, it's like so much easier. You're just like clicking on the computer.
So, all right, well, that's about all our time that we have. Steve Funk joined right at the last second. He's a local Reno radio star and aficionado. He's a pretty cool guy. He was at our last podcast meetup.
Yeah, I took that from his name.
Yeah. Steve, you'll have to tell me if Funk is made up, because if it's not, that's the most fortuitous last name I've ever seen for a radio person.
Oh my god, it makes me think of the fact that I was commenting, it feels like an episode of WKRP in here since it's so moody.
I know, now it really is. And hopefully next week my voice will be back to normal. I couldn't EQ it out with this mixer, so hopefully I'm over this, whatever this thing is inside here, and I can go back to normal. However, if Mark is still on the line, he's coming over to my place tonight, and a bunch of people from CAP that were part of the air races are coming over for like an after-action debrief. Neat. But I've got some really nice bourbon and some really old port, and we'll see how the night goes.
You're probably not going to be out in the patio, though.
No, probably not.
Because people can't see it out here, but it's cold outside.
Yeah, it was like 40-something today for the high, low 50s maybe. But it's going to be 80 next week, so welcome to Reno.
Or the Great Basin.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're listening to this on Facebook, thank you. Leave a comment. If you're watching the video in the past, still leave a comment. It will time it right during the video.
Yeah. And
we will see that and can respond. If you're listening to this on the podcast, that means I got my act together, and there actually is a podcast, an audio one. So thanks for that. And
and if you watch this on Happy Archaeology Fun Time, thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
There you go.
And I said subscribe twice, just because subliminal advertising.
There you go. All right, we will be back at 3 p.m. Pacific time on next Friday, which I believe is September 29th or something like that.
Something.
Yeah, whatever it is, a week from today. And join us and bring your comments, and we'll totally disrupt this entire show to read your comments.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have an action plan for this show. It's not structured in any way.
Because I had ideas I was going to talk about, but then we just didn't get to them.
No, we intend this to be a lot more free-flowing and just kind of sit here and chat and see if anybody's interested in it. So
Maybe.
If you want more substance in your shows, there's a lot more shows on the ArcPodNet Facebook page, Facebook page, and arcpodnet.com, as you can see on the internet here. But also, Richie's got a whole bunch of good content on his page as well.
True.
On YouTube. So
and every subscriber helps.
That's right. Check it all out, and thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Maybe.
That's right.